Hey guys, how you guys doing today? This is Jimmy Roberts, your local real estate professional, and today we've got another one in the continuing series of appraisals. And today we're going to talk about how appraisals can be useful to you in your daily life. So today I've got count them, 9 ways that you can use an appraisal in your daily life. And that's probably the most common one, and that is appraisals are used for banks to make lending decisions. We see this all the time. This is especially common when you're dealing with, you might want to buy a house, or if you have a house, you might want to refinance it, and your lender is going to order an appraisal. Well, that's way number 1. That's the most common one that we kind of think of. Way number 2, if you're an investor and you want to figure out what is a property going to be worth before you buy it and rehab it. Now, see, here's the key there. Before you buy and rehab it, a great use of an appraisal is to have an as repaired appraisal done before you buy it. That way you have some better independent information that might help you make a little bit more money on your project. That's way number 2. Number 3, and this is also if you're an investor, or if you're just a younger person and you're trying to get your parents to kick in a few dollars for you to buy your next house or your first house. It is, you get an appraisal and you use that independent appraisal to say, hey, mom and dad, look, this house really is worth whatever it's worth.
Mom, look.
It's not just me gaslighting you. It is the truth. Please help me and get me some money. Give me some money.
I need it!
So another way to do it if you're a private investor also is to use the appraisal to back your lending decision. Again, if you're going to a private individual or private individuals and you want them to invest in your idea or your project, having an independent appraisal is definitely a key to helping them move along that line. Number 4, we don't really see this one as probably much as we do for most people, but did you know that you can actually use an appraisal to challenge your property taxes?
What?
Yeah, you can. Every year here in the United States, right around between January and March, there's a time period in there where your local tax tribunal is meeting to solidify the tax rates and the tax assessments for that community. Well, that's a perfect time to bring in an appraiser to validate the value of your home based on real market conditions, as opposed to sometimes the Ivy Tower valuations that some assessors use. Now, I'm not saying that all assessors are that way, but the reality is there's oftentimes a lot of variance between what the state or the county may think your house is worth and what somebody's willing to pay for it. And you want to be able to pay taxes on what somebody's actually willing to pay for it, not what somebody may or may not pay in a perfect situation. That is not going to work out for you in terms of the taxing situation. So, number 5, and this one is a little rough, but it's true. Appraisals are a great way to help eliminate disputes amongst heirs, especially during the probate or estate disposition process. What do I mean by that? Specifically, when you bring in an appraiser, again, appraisers are independent, impartial, and objective. They don't have any skin in the game. So oftentimes when you have assets in an estate that need to be divvied up amongst the heirs, there's oftentimes a lot of angst and a lot of clashes about the value of assets. Because of course, if you and I are siblings and we're splitting up the value of the house, if I think the house should be worth X, you think the house should be worth Y, both of us have valid opinions and I'm sure we can support them.
I just want you to know I hate you.
But it's better if you have a third party come in and break the tie. Just is. Especially if you're a personal representative of an estate, you definitely want to get an appraisal. Because not only is it going to help you with the distribution of the assets, but it's also going to help you in the court itself and during tax time when you file the tax filings for that estate. So there you go. That's number 5, I believe. Number 6, I guess maybe that was 5 and 6, right? Because we're going to limit the disputes and we're going to fairly distribute assets amongst the heirs. That's 5 and 6. Number 7, and I'm seeing this more and more, especially as the market transitions from the booming seller's market to what appears to be more of a accelerating buyer's market. Basically, sellers want to know exactly what is their property really worth today, given today's situation. You see this a lot more, especially in transitioning markets like we have now, where things used to be gung-ho and, all sellers could get anything they want from the properties. And then within months, things just change and you just don't really know, right? Perfect time to bring in a third-party appraiser and get an appraisal and valuation of your assets, because they can tell you what's going on right now and where you should be pricing your house. Listing agents, this is also a perfect opportunity for you too, because again, as you already know, you don't need me to tell you your business, but you know that every dollar that you spend in marketing and time and all that other stuff, if the property is mispriced, that money is just going out the window, right? And you want to limit that as much as possible. So there you have it. That's number 7. Number 8, going back to the estate process. Oftentimes when if somebody passes away, you need to figure out the value of that property at the time of death. The only substantial way that you're going to be able to do that is with a retroactive appraisal. Again, it's a wonderful way to do it. And again, it helps with the distribution of the assets, helps in the courts, and it helps ultimately the tax filings that are going to happen with the estate itself. Now, number 9 is kind of funny here, but it helps you determine the value of your own personal assets, right? So one of the things that I do, and I'm sure many people do this, especially a couple of times a year, you want to see where you are financially, right? You got your liabilities, you got your assets, you want to see where all that stuff hangs out. Well, getting an appraisal is a wonderful way to do that. Now, we get an appraisal again. Now, we're talking about real estate right now, but there are other types of appraisals, right? One, if your money's in the stock market, maybe the thing that you do is you look up the price of your stock. You are doing an appraisal at that point in time. You're trying to figure out what's going on right now. What can I sell this asset for right now? And you can figure out the value of that asset at any given time. That is a perfect way to use appraisals, okay? And finally, this one's a little dark.
Isn't that what life is?
But it is very true, right? In the instance that you have a dispute with your spouse and you decide that you all no longer want to be spouses.
Oh, no, you don't.
If that ever happens to you, you're going to need to split up the assets. And who you're going to need to call? You're going to need to call a impartial, independent, and objective appraiser. And the reason you want to bring in somebody like that is because 1, you don't want to waste money on dueling appraisals. That's 1. And 2, you want to make sure that whoever comes in gives you a fair and honest valuation of your assets so that you can make a clean break with whoever you need to make a clean break with and get on with living your best life. So there you have it. I think I don't know, I've given you at least 9, but possibly even 10 amazing uses for appraisals, specifically real estate appraisals that you can use in your everyday life. Now, if you're asking yourself, man, Jimmy, you know what? That's an amazing use of appraisals. But first off, why would people use appraisals anyway, as opposed to some of the other things? Well, if that's your question, you probably want to check out this video right here. And if you are an agent or a broker, or if you're somebody who's interested in just making sure you never receive another lowball appraisal, you probably want to head on over to this website right here, howtovaluehouses.com/agent, and get my 5 tips to make sure that you never suffer from a lowball appraisal again. Okay, that's Jimmy, and I will see you in the next video. See you.